Ready? Okay. Maybe the volume. Can I mute it from here? I think that I just. Is this the main funny for this one here? Like this one looks like, let me see. Will that work? Ah, okay, just good. Thank you so much. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the public hearing on the 2024 budget. There's only two people here. So if you have a question, not a question, really, we're gonna review the budget in a minute, but if you have a comment about the budget, we'd like to hear from you. I'm gonna go through all the pages. Well, I'm not gonna do that because it's kind of torture for everybody, but I'm gonna point out like with the changes from last year. Now I know what. But I am going to point out changes from last year. I don't think you've seen that. Okay, does anybody have any comments they'd like to make about the budget? This big crowd we have, pardon? No. Do you have, no, but you might have a comment. We're looking for comments right now. Is there something you want to say? Do you have an overarching theme or comment you'd like to share with us? No, I have picky stuff. You have picky stuff. Okay, oh, that means you studied it. I'm impressed. You studied it already? Oh, I should never be impressed. That's fair. Okay. Well, given that there are no comments and nobody has anything to say about the budget, I would like to now close the hearing. All right. Especially early, but maybe on November 1st, when we have the public hearing, the next one, that will be more people. Out people, so and it's on the website, so maybe they had their reading over the weekend. That's all they want.
Never know.
Okay. Does anybody want to get some water? Pardon?
Did the fire district do an adjustment?
This budget,
No,
Not yet. Okay.
that budget will show the different numbers from the tentative, if that's what you meant. Is that the new copy you got there, Alfreda?
No, it's all right. That's.
I'm going to get a drink of water. I'll bring it.
John will get one for you. Get a copy of the one in the hallway. John will get it.
Coming up the rounds already.
Everybody's favorite meeting, that's one.
This is the latest.
At least we won't have any mice in here. They'll be off. But
Probably, because we, oops, yes, it's like, just like, I think so, Anne, because people might want to get water so before, because this was a hearing and starting at 7 and we always do a lot.
we waited until some years.
No, we're going to start in a couple minutes, but I just want to take a break in between. everyone. Welcome to the October 18th, 2023 Town of Unionville Town Board meeting. If you wouldn't mind standing and joining me in a salute to the flag, most appreciated. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everyone okay, please be seated. We have an agenda tonight to get through. First, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the minutes for September 20th. Has everybody had a chance to review them?
I'll make that.
Yeah. Everybody had- All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion carries. Okay, next up, I'm gonna try to go through some of the things quickly. Town supervisor report, we'll go through a report and then I'll do we will do the budget presentation, which shouldn't take long. The first thing I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of, so tonight, we'll go through the tentative budget. I have the changes that we've made. Could you pass that down the counter? Everybody's agreeable. You already have yours, I think. Everybody's agreeable. Did you guys get your changes?
Yes, I got it.
You got it? Okay. If everybody's agreeable, what we'll do is we will, at the end of the session, unless we have anything else we want to change or come back to, then we will vote on that. It automatically becomes the preliminary, as you all know. The other thing I want to make sure that people know, if anybody listens to this later on at home, is that on November 1st, rather, I can't believe it's flying by. November 1st, we will have another public hearing at 7 p.m. on the preliminary. So if you see anything on the budget we're going to vote on tonight, if you see anything in there that you'd like to comment on, please come to that public hearing. But also if we change anything, like sometimes we get quotes after the fact or companies change their mind about things and we have to adjust the numbers, make them all work. And if that happens, we will provide a list like this. I will read the list out loud so that everybody knows any changes. And then that will be committed to the minutes. That way, nothing happens from now on that people don't know about and that isn't committed to the minute. Okay, so that's our process. That's the way we do it. So we'll see everybody here November 1st. That will be noticed as it's a work session for the town board, but it'll be noticed since we may end up voting on something. We're going to notice it for that. All right. Now, next up, I wanted to say that one of the big changes in this budget, which I will show you in a minute, is that when we got the tentative budget, the fire department had sent us their budget from July. And it didn't have any new numbers in it because they hadn't gotten everything back and they hadn't digested everything. But in this proposed preliminary, their numbers are in here. So we have their budget. I can review that with you, but that's the difference between then and now. When you see the fire district's line, which is a separate line from the town line, but still we reflect it. Couple of things I want to say under communication. AJ Bepan and Neil Bepan is our assemblyman, and he's sending out, and I'm not sure who this invite's going to, so we can send this wherever. I guess we could pass this on. But he is going to be here on Monday, October 30th, from 10 to noon in this room. And he's holding a forum here and he's asking, it's called the Rural Equity Assembly. This is the Rural Equity Forum for rural communities from the foundation of New York State, with farms, businesses, schools, and residents playing a crucial role in our state's economy and identity. He would like to address them and discuss the following topics. This is kind of interesting because we're considered rural. State assistance for rural communities regarding school safety, funding, and inequities. So they get less than the larger places. Increasing support for rural municipalities,
Oh, good.
which we could use, and connecting rural resources, which we'll have to wait. But anyway, anybody that's interested in that, I'll be here and Andy will be here since it's held right in this room, and anybody else would like to come though. Mark your calendars for the 30th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And I believe well, it was sent to me to always, and everything I get, I share with the board. So I don't know who the other invitees are. I'll get any additional information. You can be interested. So, all right, the next thing up, I wanted to say, this doesn't require board action, but we did get the iron furnace liquor license application the new owner, it has to apply, as you guys know,
Yeah.
a new name. They're not asking for special consideration, like, remember the other restaurant that wanted us to pass a resolution?
Yeah, sure.
This is just a notification that this is going on, and I have to sign off that we got it. Okay, so the new owner, Chadwell Mead Wellis, is going to be the primary owner, and it looks like they are just, nothing's changed here from before. So
It's
fine.
business as usual, as far as I know.
Business as usual, that's what everybody's heard, and unless anybody's heard differently and is concerned about this, I'll just sign off on it like we always do. Okay. I wanted everybody, you guys, gentlemen, I should say, to know that we got the agreement for early termination of lease signed by the Pathfinders for number 2.
Oh, good.
So, thank you, Jeff Battistoni, for this one pager. It worked. So basically, we have a couple things going on with it. So the, soccer players, coaches were out in August at some point. Late August, they moved some things out and they were still using it. I could see cars, they were coming and going. But, they wanted to get out of the lease. I called them because we were like, I think you moved the furniture out there. What's going on? You have another year on your lease. And they described their challenges as businessmen over camp new teaming, and it would be nice for them not to have that added expense. We did have a lovely, lovely woman who was interested in renting the house because the other house was too big. So when this came up, she grabbed it. And so they signed this, but now what happened was, so we went into the house to do an inspection. Jake and I went, and then Vinny and I went. So everybody inspected it. George went over on his own and inspected it. The house is in pretty good shape. They sent people over to paint. And they're guys. They had a whole dishwasher full of dishes after they had moved out. The dishwasher was packed with all their stuff. And the refrigerator was full, but little stuff like that. And, but they painted. There were those thresholds on the door. Almost every one of them was broken. We don't know why, but we went and got wood for those. We had to pump out the septic and we had to snake the septic. So that was fine. So we had all that. And then we went down into the basement. And when we were down there, we went down there several times. There's a row of a small wall of cast iron pipes that come around. There's one elbow, I think, maybe one over here. So the guy, I can't remember, was it Vinny, one of the guys with me, they just touched it and the cast iron went in. There was a hole in the cast iron pipes. Or a hole, but it's old pipes. And then when we looked on the ground, the boiler was leaking on the floor. So then when George went over, I said, could you please go check the boiler? And the cast iron needs to be replaced with PVC and the boiler is kaput. So, we're waiting for the third quote to then pick up, we're gonna have to get a new boiler. Now, we went ahead and spent the $600. We needed to have a temporary fix and, one of the companies sent a guy over and they gave us a temporary, one of our regulars who helps us with septic. So he came running over and so that when Stephanie moved in, she had hot water. But she seemed pleased. Everything was clean and spotless. They had housekeepers over. We're going to subtract some of these additional costs from their $2,000 deposit. And we'll let you know on Monday. I'll probably send out an email because we're going to have to pick between the three for this boiler. They're all within a couple $1,000s of each other. So I'll see if George has any comments or anything he'd like to add. But, and we're talking about a regular boiler and I'm not an expert on boilers, so we don't want to get into that discussion, but Peerless, I guess, is one of the better brands.
Yes.
So that's what everybody's quoting us. If you wanted to go cheaper, we'd have to.
Switch to propane.
Well, the switch to propane was so expensive. Now, at first I was a little shocked by it. And we weren't going to do that big of a job. However, these quotes coming in for just the Peerless, they may be $4,000 away from that. And we'll have to assess it when you guys get all the numbers. Share your advice and I'll get George's opinion and share it with you. At first he thought we were gonna just because, but it is a rental house. We'll see what you think, but that's coming up next week because that temporary fix won't last forever. We want to take good care of her in the house. Okay. Take a look.
Okay.
That was really the biggest thing that happened with the house, but all in all, it looks good. She's great. She's got a fire pit in the back and all George asked was that she push it a little further away and put a screen on it. But we didn't, she's very responsible. So I don't think we're gonna have a problem, but that was a very smooth transition. So I think that's great news. Let me go through a couple of other things. Wanted to mention, well, that's an easy one. So I wanted to mention the balloon festival because I attended the what is it, the Chamber's breakfast where they went through the stats. I think, and now Frank Costello shares. Does everybody have this? There are extras of these somewhere.
In the middle.
Yeah, if there's any extra.
Look at it.
So Frank Costello, Alfreda will be mesmerized by this. Frank Costello does a wrap up for all the chamber members all over the county, and some of the stats are unbelievable, you know, as far as when he sends emails and how much. But they had 679,000 views, which was up over 18% from last year. So, I mean, it's just, you know, the media advertising, the reach that they have, over 20,800 people in attendance, but that's including vendors and workers and volunteers, security and everything. 26 hot air balloons, 271 volunteers and staff. But really the stuff that they look at is that the acquisition rate from social media and advertising. They know their audience, 68% female, 86% being between 25 and 54. 82% of the people use mobile devices. I mean, he goes on and on and on. They really track everything so they can share it with all the businesses in the chamber. So, but I know that some people say, I think I haven't heard very many people seem to love this balloon festival because it's very well run and they like it for the kids and the views, and people were having a lot of fun when the balloons landed in their yards this year.
Oh, yeah.
The reason I think it's important to Unionville, we don't have a big, we just don't, obviously, everybody knows we don't have a lot of commercial entities in Unionville. What we do have is the ability to sponsor something like this that helps all the other the entities. I don't know, Perry, is there a statistic in there about the hotel stays and the Airbnbs? Because he says all the Airbnbs are rented out. He said there's something in there about, I guess he said it in his email to me that he was trying to find out about the Airbnbs.
I don't see it in here.
No, I don't see that.
Oh, must have been in the email. I apologize. All right, so but the hotel rates are, everything in the area is booked. The Airbnbs are booked. And I think that the reason that Unionville feels good, we feel good about doing this, in addition to its all the positives that the residents like, but we don't have a lot of people out there spending a lot of money. We don't have a lot of commercial entities, but we do share in the sales tax. So every bit of money that comes in from these people coming from all around the state that comes in, and when they ka-ching the cash registers in any one of these groups, we are participating in that. So if nothing else, I think that this is another way that Unionville benefits, because I looked at our run rate. Sales tax is starting to slow down, but our run rate is $426,000 this year. So it's still strong. It might start peeling off again next year, but our run rate's good, and things like this is kind of our contribution to the county, since we don't.
Sure. Yeah, we do our share now.
Yeah, now we're kind of doing our own bit. So that's a good thing about the chambers. And I think somebody told me they advertised on their website, they're ready to come back next year, which is great.
I hope so, because it entertains a lot of residents too.
Yeah, beautiful. People love going by. All right, I think I don't have any other special things. I thought I had more, but this is great. We don't have that much as far as correspondence. So I'm going to walk through the budget with everybody. Now, the board has already seen this budget. Let me just open up my here. So the board's already seen it, and what we'll do if this all works, it's not working. I'm hitting the wrong button right now. Hard to get it to go one page at a time. Yeah, I don't know. It was working before. I just went off, but okay. So I'm going to try to flip these pages appropriately or quickly enough. I'm going to walk through what we did at the work session, and then I'm just going to point out things that are different. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. But I did want to point out that our fund balance is very strong. We have 97% of our annual expenses. If you got this letter on my, sorry. It's not doing one at a time. No, it's pretty much. Well, we'll just leave it there for now. Okay, so we have about 97% of our annual expenses in cash. And that excludes balances for, capital projects and that sort of thing, and assigned fund balance. So the reason, and I know I have more of a corporate background, and the comptroller's office used to frown on much in fund balance, but they've certainly changed their mind and they don't say much about it now since COVID. But I think in our case, we are lucky if we can pay a year's worth of expenses by
It's our
taking that much in
lifeblood,
cash. Well, if we don't have to lay off people, we don't have to, if we're hit with a real calamity, I think that we can weather the storm.
Yeah.
So that's why I really, we've always pushed hard to get more and more in by, managing the money as tight as we can. Our personnel and employee benefit costs are very reasonable at 44%. When we go through the stress test from the comptroller's office, that varies from 42 to 45, but this year it's at 44. Debt servicing is at 1.8%, because we have that one bond that got rolled over a few years ago. We have a nice rate on it, and that will, I think that matures in 2031. So our non-property tax revenue is, we projected the non-property tax revenue to increase slightly, to go up a little bit. But I still see where sales and mortgage tax revenue are lowered. We lowered mortgage tax. I went back to pre-COVID and averaged 3 years out, 16, 17, and 18 before COVID hit, and went back to that number as far as a revenue expectation for mortgages. It's already started to slow down. Our investment yields are in excess of 5% because of this wonderful yield climb that we've had on the 10-year treasury. And so some of our revenue that we're counting on next year is that you'll see as a result of interest rates being so favorable for us, because we do have cash and we do have it put aside. So as far as projects, we're trying very hard to get the Godfrey Park finished. We've been saddled with 5 weekends of rain.
And number 6 is coming. This
Yep.
week.
I mean, it's crazy, and these guys keep trying to come and build and get the community involved, and so I'm trying to find out if they'll please try to come maybe Thursday or Friday, but I haven't heard from them today. So, but anyway, I feel bad because they got the worst weather ever as far as rain, and they're trying to make it a community event. But we did have one community day. Councilman McGivney was there. We had a good time. People were most appreciative. It was fun, and I think once we get it finished, they'll be even more appreciative. All right, we have the highway equipment garage. So our builder is going to be calling the building department tomorrow. Didn't want to call Ed, I'm not sure why, but he is going to call the building department tomorrow because there's a scheduling issue. So I said he needed to deal with George about that, because I was a little disappointed. But the highway equipment garage will be completed soon, in the next 6 months. And then the water tank for the pool, as you know, is a very, very important addition. That's out there. And we will get that in as soon as weather permits. And Tom St. Ange, who's going to be back, after his back surgery, I told him the board was a little worried about the fact that this hadn't been put in because of the weather, it arrived so late. And he said, tell him, piece of cake, not to worry, I'll get it done next year with everybody and it'll be fine. He's quite confident that it's not a bad job. So that's good. So all of that being said, I think it's really important that we have been able to have strong day-to-day oversight of our expenses. And when we do that, we tend to keep in, we've been lucky and come in under budget because but every now and then we've had like a new boiler that we need to replace. So coming in under budget is very helpful. On this particular year, and as years past, when we keep a tight lid on our expenses, it's enabled us to keep our taxes flat. So if you turn to this next page, which is the summary of the town budget, this page, help her out there, which is page 1. What you'll see on page 1 are a couple of, this is really unless you wanted all the this could be tell you the whole story of the whole budget, and except there are details people may be interested in. But basically, we kept the general fund and the highway fund level from last year as far as our the amount to be raised, our levy, our amount to be raised by taxes. So that's at 1.9 million. And then what we did was we took, that library referendum was in 2021. And in November it failed. So we took the $22 and the $23, and which was 155,000, and we put that in under general fund under less unexpended balance. So we added the 155,870. So those 2 years where we weren't paying for library services, we saved that money and we're putting it into, this coming year, which is gonna be the big year for the library, okay? So that was money, that will be money well spent. But what you can see is, you know, on the bottom, a 0% change for highway and for general. Above the bottom, which we don't include in our total because the town of Unionville has a fire district. What you see is that their new budget that they had a public hearing on last night, their new budget, which was 967 last year, is 1,567,000 this year. And it's a $600,000 increase, and it's based on having to secure a 24/7 ambulance contract. And what you'll see, I mean, you'll see your, like, our new cost per thousand is $3.08 for, see where you see under 2024, it's $3.08 per thousand. So when you're calculating out what your taxes are going to be next year, you take your assessed rate of your home, and for this town, you'd multiply the 308, and then for the fire, you'll multiply by 229. And then you'll know what that's going to be if you want to project ahead and start, you know, saving. But I have to say, if you want ambulance service and you want 24/7 and you want professionals, the market is awful. They did the best they could, and that's what it's going to cost us. But even for an increase, you feel good that you're going to have service.
Yeah, this will be ALS service,
So ALS means for the folks, at home,
advanced life support,
so a paramedic.
paramedic, yeah, which
That's
we
great.
didn't have at night.
So if somebody had a heart attack or something, that
We have them brought in from another town. They would do a mutual aid assistance.
so in this case, it would be quicker.
It'll be quick because we'll have within the town, paramedic.
And it'll
24/7.
alleviate some of the pressure on volunteers who were probably
Mhm.
beaten up.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
And they can administer certain drugs and stuff that, EMT can. So
yeah. So that's better for the residents.
yeah, definitely.
that support.
You know, I did have 2 years ago, we looked at this and with them. And I know the town of Washington, some of the others were telling me 2 years ago that, you know, people, they were like adamant, they wanted 24/7 in their
Yeah.
towns. And they recognize the pricing is going up, and it's, I think that it's a shame the county hasn't taken it over. So the fire district isn't, they were really worried about this and they tried hard. But if the county could take it over, I think the
It would be
efficiency,
more efficient for all the towns and would drive the costs down.
yeah. So hopefully they'll start looking.
Because when everyone hires their own, we have a lot of medics throughout the county. And at any given time, you don't need that many at one time.
Right. But then if we're all getting these big bills, then, you know, you can imagine sharing that.
Yeah, there's a shortage of them too.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues there. It's tough, but they got it done and we'll be happy about it. All right, so a nice flat tax bill for next year. All right, I'm gonna have to do it manually. It's just not going for me. Okay, the next page up is just the tax levy, the limit calculation. And it's what I use. It's my own Excel spreadsheet, but it's it just shows you in the bottom left that, oh, wait a minute, I'm not showing it. I apologize. Andrea, I'm not gonna be able to do this because it won't, oh, there we, there you have it. Okay. In the bottom left, you'll see that we're actually below the tax cap permitted by the state by $73,715. So there is extra spending permitted in New York, but then, you know, we know who that hits. So we don't like to do that to our residents. So the next set of pages are interesting. So these are, this is the town summary as far as the assessed value. And so what you see here is the total town assessed value is 626,397,000. And the difference here is like, for example, at the fire district, there are no exemptions that come off the fire district. So their assessed value is about 682. And when you take 682 million, when you take off all the exemptions that folks get, that's what the town is left with as far as an assessed value. That's 626 million. And what you can see on this next page, if I can slow this down enough. On the next page, sorry, guys, you need to be able to do this. Is an exemption summary, which is important for the board to be aware of. You know, so in this, you can see the exemption count that we have. So currently we have about 1,500 town total exemptions. The there are certain system exemptions that come through New York State, certain star exemptions and stuff just are given automatically. But when you're going back and look, you can look at the numbers of, where the bigger ones are. Most of them are in star, as you would guess, and you can see the ag district, you can see the vets and that sort of thing. And so it's important for us, especially if we're looking at perhaps voting on a new exemption, that we could refer to something like this and see what they are. Sorry about this, it's not changing it.
Yeah, this is quite an island. It's page,
So the next one is, if I can get it, it's page 2 of that same document. Let's see if this is right. No. Okay, this next one shows the town summary of the dollar amounts associated with the equalized value of exemption. So it shows that how many, the dollar amount involved with each one. And then if you go to the very end, the next page, it has the forest land. It shows that there's $23,000 of exemptions in forest land. So we have a total of $435,000 in exemptions off of our taxes. So something, just to be aware of, because whenever exemptions are given, even though we all want to give them, it means that the same tax burden is being carried by fewer people.
yeah, other residents gotta pick it up.
Now, this next group, and it's so small, I apologize, but this is also, we can always send copies of this and post it. This is the stress test that we recently received from the comptroller's office. They conduct this with all the information that we're required to send in. And this is from the end of last year. So on the first page, now the stress tests are really important because you get them after the fact. But basically what you see, if there's no designation, if it's 0 to 2, lower is better in this contest. Let me just say that. Lower is better. So 0 to 29.9 means you don't have any designation, but designations are susceptible environmental stress, significant, that's the way that they look at this. Fiscal stress, moderate fiscal stress, susceptible fiscal stress. So there's more than one way. The first couple of pages though are more, or this first page is environmental. Now that's interesting because that, means kind of, for us, it means the environmental stress are things that we can't do anything about. So we got 3.3 points because our population changed. So we had a higher population. We know our population went down by 4, and they're telling us it went down by 0.91%. So because it was, greater than 0, we got 3.33, a score of 3.33. That's, at the bottom. So, significant environmental stress is like a score of 50 to 100. That's like one of those towns. Remember when Detroit, everybody left Detroit after all the factories closed? That's significant environmental stress. We don't have to, we're at 3.33. So I think we can handle it. The next page is it's starting with the fiscal stress. And this is where we're looking at year-end fund balance, operating deficits, cash position, use of short-term cash flow, that sort of thing. And we've got zeros along every category because we're in really good shape. We have assigned and unassigned fund balances that are strong. We have very few operating deficits. We have, if any, we have cash positions that are strong, and short-term cash flow debt issued is 0. So we're in good shape there. And then the second page with regard to fiscal stress has to do with personnel servicing and employee benefits. And then the last one is debt servicing, which I already discussed. So, even when, we were looking at libraries, we have a tendency to look at how much of their operating costs are they spending on their personnel. And my view is if you can always keep it under 50%, you're really, that's a strong number. So if we could get, at some point, we could keep getting stronger and stronger and it goes down to 35 or 40%, that would be good. But this year we were at 44. So I think that's a strong number. So on the bottom left, you can go online and see if there are towns that are suffering from significant fiscal stress. And I remember Poughkeepsie was a few years ago. Remember that? I don't know if it kept hitting the headline.
Yes.
But anyway, we have no designation in fiscal stress. We got a total of our stress test of 3.3, and that was from the environmental fact that we lost population. Okay, I'm going to go through a little quicker on here. So I'm going to point out changes that may be fascinating. This is the estimated. No, I didn't change a number on here. I thought I saved it. Oh, this was okay. There's a number that needs to be changed on here. But anyway, if you look down to departmental income, I wanted to point out that we reduced the pool revenue. Look at the amended budget column in 23, and then we'll go over to the preliminary. We reduced that expectation of revenue to 42 because that's about what we get. Cost us more to run the pool, but for a few years we were lucky. We had the Dolphins, the swim
Right.
team renting, and that was a really great thing
Good
for us.
deal.
During COVID, we had 2 years of that, maybe 3, but the first year before. But anyway, we don't have that anymore. They've all flocked to indoor pools as much as they can until they're having their swim meets outdoors. So we lost that business, but so we reduced our revenue down to 42 on that one. And then at the bottom, you see, we went from 24,000 to 80,000 in expected interest and earnings in next year. So that's a big, we're already, I mean, I think we hit 115 mid-year this year, so we're doing well there by keeping so much money in cash. So those two are important. This next one, if you look at the top, building and alteration permits, that's the building department. We raised that goal from 95 to 109. And that's because our building department runs like a really good service and we don't keep people waiting for weeks. People think there's a quick turnaround. And George Kolb runs a great operation, but he also has 4 different hats. So George is paid a culmination of those 4 different hats. So this building and alteration permits is really a combination of George's salary and his secretary's salary. So I tend to make the revenue goal the same as the cost of overhead for that department because it seems to work out that way. So, but again, we're not making money on that department, but we deliver really good service and our building department has a good reputation. So if you go down further, you see in state aid, you see the mortgage tax. We were at 145. It was our goal for 23. I reduced it to 120 for next year. For the reasons already stated.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna go fast forward to 15. Only
Yeah.
there's nothing on 14. On page 15, the difference that I saw that, as we were going through is I added a 16-hour-a-week secretary, confidential secretary to my office because it's just, I don't know, I have very erratic help and we're behind a lot. And I got stacks of paper that I wouldn't need to get through. And I think I need to have a proper confidential secretary has been approved before, but we've just never, I think we had a couple times, but we need one. So I put those hours back in. And I think that's a very good thing. And then the next thing is under finance, under personnel services, the 1310, you see the code is a 0.1. So that went from 68 to 80. And that's because our payroll clerk, and she also helps me because, I don't have full-time help or I don't have 16 hours a week help, but she also helps me. So she's working 20 hours a week, which is good. And I'll tell you what's happened with payroll and everything involved with the state, the New York State retirement. I know this is riveting, but they have a new way of doing everything. Laura had to go back and is still working on going back, and they have to go back and they have to record everybody's time, every hour that everybody works here, even if they're not in the state retirement plan. Everybody, and they had to go back and pull some,
even elected.
How
How do they?
they come up with that?
ours?
They do that.
Well, they have yours because yours was approved at one point early on. Anybody that went into the system early on, like your first year, we did that. So those hours they just use, you can look at them from time to time and change them. But then for electeds, they have a formula for how many board meetings you come to and that kind of stuff. Their staffers are different because they're already in the system. But basically what they've done is that what they've said, again, New York State, you comment on this all the time. Their big thing was that people will come back years later and want to buy their time and get into the system. And they have no way of knowing what their real time is. So they said from now on, you guys have to track it. So Laura has just been buried up to here trying to,
Wow.
I know.
typical state.
I know it's been a huge,
Let us do their work.
there's so much stuff we've gotten from them this year. So it's been a bit of a burden. It's page 16. The tax collection, that's the only thing on this page of note is that those dollars went down. They're back to their normal level. We amended them last year. We added a couple of weeks because when the new tax collector came in, she was going to try to settle the books of the previous one, but she never got to it because it's harder to do than one thinks. And she was very busy right off the back. And so this year once that first year is evolved, that money goes into the bank and we declare that ready to pay anybody who comes and tells us they want their arrears. So this is back to the regular dollar, but it's like $2,000 difference. Back to the way it was. Oh, no, it's not even that much. It's less than $1,000, but that's the difference on that page. On page 17, under town building, you see in 23, it was 90 and it went up to 91. And I'm only mentioning that because in that town buildings number is where we have, propane and the testing for the fire extinguishers. And the custodian asked for a raise. It's a very nice lady who does a great job. And so we put it in the budget, Maricela. So she asked for a raise and, she has been doing a great job. She's new, she's great, and so we're very pleased with her, and we have a lot of people that come in this place and you feel like your house has to be clean. She does a good job for us. And that's really it. The rest of this is straightforward, same as last year. Office supplies, shredding, and all that is in the line that's called central storeroom. So that's, very, these things are not changing much at all. We tried to keep a lot of things the same. If you go to page 18, you'll see that the change, we went down from the central processing because we've got $51,000 in there, and that's where we put computers, the telephones, website, and audio. We're gonna have to maintain our new website. The money was in the budget this year for the website. We have 15 companies that we've been looking at, and now we have to now that once we get through this budget, we'll slow down and we'll have a formal presentation. We're going to change the website over. If we don't get the job done, we're going to encumber those funds and hold this year's amount that we were next year so we can finish that process. And then we've got to get a new company in here because there's just so many things our website can't do. Plus, we're spending too much money on things like emails and little things, but a website will be good. And the main thing that Andrea and I, Clerk Casey and I would like is that central calendar. So when everybody puts their information in there, it'll fill the central calendar so everybody can see what's going
Right
on.
on the website.
Right on the website.
Oh, good.
All the boards, everybody will be in it.
Right.
The next thing that really changes here was insurance on page 18, and you notice it went from 71 to 80. And that's just the cost of liability. We did have that claim this year with the salt shed. But that insurance, that dollar amount includes cyber, which is interesting. I'll go through the changes. It was a little less than we thought because of the cyber came out. So that's a good change. But anyway, that has gone up every year. The next time we have a change, you might want to go to 20. On page 20, if you look at the bottom in the building department, which is not what all the other things that were in the other building, the alterations and that sort of thing. This is the point one of this is George and the secretary, and they went up about $5,000. And again, we did the study, on people that have 3 or 4 jobs that encompass over that. And I think we're right in the market with that building department. Page 22. The highway department. We increased now this is on the same chart at the back, we increased the highway superintendent from 62.7 to 70. Because our highway superintendent has refused a raise. Elected officials don't get raised. I think we've had 2 raises since I've been here, but 2 or 3, pardon?
No.
No. No. So I think it's time.
Give it to the guys.
No, it's okay.
Over to you.
Yeah, no, it's time to have that at a higher
You're there
level.
at 4:30 when I need you.
Yeah, that's for sure. We appreciate it, and you're pretty below market there. Mr. Katie. All right, next up is page 24. Page 24, if you look at the parks. We added, now we may move this around. I'm gonna talk to the board about this later in the year, but we have things in there. Remember, the difference between 23 and 24 is we bought that Chevy, that Silverado, and
Yes.
we bought that Boss plow. So the numbers are different between 23 and 24. We did add Maggie as rec director into that line. And so I've got to see, we may end up adjusting her pay. So she's got some hours over here and some hours over there. So that's the other difference. But other than that, that's the same. On page 25, so we talked about this with the board, but just so other people know, the ASP TGTT, which is the after school program, we cut that budget way down. Because, because of the healthy kids programs in the schools, It doesn't make any sense for us to continue to run that program. And, it's a labor intensive thing. And I have to say, I think they were happy. There was so much competition and the numbers were dwindling. The people don't have to take their kids out of school to bring them over here. It's a good thing for the families.
Sure.
So they're keeping them at school. So we reduced it to the number of half days that they're gonna be here. That's that number.
Hope the kids like it.
Yeah. It costs the same to run the pool. You notice the pool, it's 62. We had revenue estimates of 42.
Right, 20 grand.
But remember when I first got here, we were all laughing about the pool, where they were at that $95,000 to run the pool. So they've made great strides in operating that pool
Of
more
course, that's
efficiently.
cool. We wouldn't have summer camp. because-
Yeah,
That's right.
and you know what, people like that pool and the kids that work down there are really nice and I got a lot of compliments on them this year, so I think that's a good thing. Fast forward to page 27. 27 is the library expense. So what we have on line 7410 is library, you've got the salary is 0.1 and the contractual expenses are 0.4. And we put that dollar amount in because the required minimum is $32 and the professional consultant that we had hired a year ago per capita per head. And he said, you've got to do 50 or they might turn you down. And Megan was on a conference call and they said they really would prefer $50. And that budget probably won't change for a very long time, but I think it's going to serve the town well. And people will, given that the outside, that budget's would have been going up every year. And they told us that they wouldn't be happy until we were paying what they were paying. This is a little less than they're paying, but that they're paying currently. But I think having a customized spot for our people will be a real joy for everybody, especially with the people they got involved with it. All right, nothing happened in the next couple of pages. If you go to page 30. I mean, I just wanted to point out that these are mandatory numbers, state retirement, Medicare. Those are both calculated as soon as, it's just a formula. As soon as you put your payroll in there, they calculate the formula and then they send us a bill. As a matter of fact, if we pay before the new year, we always get like a percentage off. I'm going to present that bill at the next board meeting. They haven't quite billed us yet, but I know it's coming and it's a high dollar amount. It's a high percentage of what they expect from us for next year. The good news is our workers' comp did not go up at all. And knock on wood, we've had a good history of workers' comp since we switched. And we get safety bulletins and the guys are much more in tune with how it works and how you have to be careful and how you have to report. And so they seem to like us there and and remember, I just want to point out, the workers' comp is the workers' comp is like 70 something thousand. It gets broken up between highway and general. All right, but this at 72, it's still, or 70, 74, it's still less than the county was going to charge us
Sure.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
So they wanted to start at
19,
75
yeah.
that year, remember?
Yeah,
So we've saved money by switching.
who knows what they're at now?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they kept going up or they just had to make a big jump. Next page 33, if you will. Because I'm pointing out differences to not go through everything.
Back to page 30, I was just looking at the workers' comp, it said year to date was 58,000. Well, was that so much more?
Well, the way it's apportioned has to do with the difference between payroll, between highway and the general fund. And we probably put in the number for, my guess is, and I can't check it here, but my guess is we probably put the number in for all of them when we were doing a year to date. Because nobody ever goes all the way back to the highway.
I just seen it was a lot higher than it's budgeted, what was done the best.
Well, it's a fixed fee at the beginning of the year. So the budgeted amount of 23, which for workers' comp was, it would be 28 plus highways, which was, I think it. You see, I can't remember with them combined. Let me look. I know. The email they sent me and the bill they sent me. Oh, you know what it is? I know what it is because when they sent us the new quote, they sent us the bill and we had to pay it.
Hey, right away, right?
Yeah, we had to pay the bill right away. That's exactly what happened. So it's not our budget. No, we pay annually. So I've got 20, let's see in here. It was a 42, that 41,000, it looks like we budgeted 45. And then when they sent us the bill, when we accepted the quote, they sent us this last year's and a portion of this year's. So we have it quoted of 64% of 41,282. And then the highway quote is. But it's higher. Separated out. Yeah, 36%. It went to the highway. So I think the whole bill just went into that line is what happened. Because earlier in July, the bill, when I first did the year to date, the actual year to date was earlier in the year. This was added, this was increased recently, but it was like $14,000 for highway. It was the year to date was 7,400 year to date. That was in July. And then when we went back to yeah, so it was that new bill that came in.
That was my question, because I saw it was, double what was budgeted.
Yeah, so in July, the year to date was, for highway was 90/40, and what's this number? Yeah, I think the other one was 15 something, so it got added to it in August, but it blossomed and then we paid the bill. We keep adding to those numbers as we go, because the big bill came in, but that's the only difference. And then on page 33, page 33 is, oh, I did, again, the only big difference on that page was the interest income that's going to be accruing to highway. It was year to date for this one is 6,700, and next year we're preliminary budget would suggest 14,000 because there's cash in. All right, 35, page 35. The highway general repairs, the difference in the numbers there just simply raises for the guys. We put a 3% raise in for everybody. And then under machinery, so we have a track hoe on deck that the superintendent would like. And under machinery is where we take care of welding, repairs and parts and all that stuff, as you guys would guess. But also we put in a partial for the track hoe that you want. And where assumption is, and it's how the year plays out and when you want it and all that stuff, but the other money can come out of your capital reserve fund. So that's why that number is that dollar amount's lower. All right, so track hoe, what's a track hoe?
Excavator.
Just curious.
Well, an excavator is the guy that runs the machine is a track hoe.
Oh, wow, I learned something. See, I didn't know that.
You know. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, that's the difference. I didn't put that total number in there. The difference is Ed's gotten a quote or he's seen some prices. Yeah, so
Yeah, we were talking about this last.
now one of you asked at the work session if that was big enough for him. Didn't one of you think that maybe the size he was going for?
I don't think we saw, did we see
No,
90?
We
We saw 58.
Based on the price, we were saying it has to be pretty small, like 58,000.
Oh, no,
Even
that's
at
not
90.
close.
Right.
Yeah,
90s. Right.
yeah,
Okay.
we didn't know that.
No, at that, you had told me you got one quote for 85 and you were still looking.
Right.
So I told you guys 85, but that's not what goes in the budget because we've got a capital reserve fund, so it's a lower number in the budget.
Okay.
Yeah, so hopefully, I mean, if you find one.
You have one.
Yeah.
What do you use now? You have one.
We have, one. It's quite old.
Okay.
What goes back to 2 supervisors ago.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's got a lot of hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Parks really want it.
Now I know what's going on.
Parks wants it.
What are they gonna do?
I don't know.
They're gonna work on that new soccer field, maybe.
Run it and have us fix it.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
Oh, yeah, we can-
Isn't
that's
it-
smart.
Isn't it kind of like recycling center?
Pretty much.
All right, those guys are cute. Okay, again, on page 36 is employee benefits, and it's just an apportioned dollar amount. Next, this is a new sheet that we added. This is just to give you an idea, because, in municipal world, in governmental and counting, they don't subtract expenses from revenue, so they can see where we are, but I always have to do that, so I want you to see it. You see our expectations for the building department it's a service, it's flat. The courtroom is also a service. We can't really control that because of the way things come in and go over there. So the negative for the court on page 37 is really based on, court
Yeah,
expenses.
40 grand.
Yeah. That's what it costs to have a prosecutor come and prosecute.
Crime is expensive.
Yeah, for us. We
Yeah,
had more, but actually, if we had more, we, we need more parking tickets. Parks, you're right on target, we've looked at, sometimes the numbers will go up and down depending on what expenditures or what they want to do that year, but parks is always, it's a service, it's a beautiful thing that we maintain, so it's always going to cost us money. Recreation, that's been retooled, as you know, and so they always add a little bit back to the fund balance or to the revenue for the residents, which is great. So this year we're looking at around 82 grand potentially. And the recycling center, we had one banner year in 23 where they had outperformed a lot, and you never know this year is going to come up, but we're projecting about a $1,400-1,500. And I think we may want to think about anything the recycling center can bring in. We may want to set up a capital reserve fund for them, because if they're positive, maybe we save it, because that loader they use over there is really old.
Yeah,
If that had a load, they want that one. So they'd want to trade,
We'll give them ours, you can buy me a new one.
I figure that's the cycle that we're talking
yeah,
about.
that's fair.
One at a
Yeah.
time, one at a time.
Yeah,
You
so,
gotta start at the top.
but the recycling center needs some equipment as it ages. We should think about that. So about how once they've started making money, why don't we keep it, put it aside and let them
Okay,
reinvest.
Yeah.
This next chart is basically, we only had 2024 rates for the town of Unionville, not for the county or the fire or the school when we did these charts. So, but, this is a chart everybody sees before, but you can see the difference between Arlington, Dover, and Millbrook. These, again, 2023 rates. But everybody's property taxes, are way over 70%. Oh, look at Millbrook. That's pretty good. They're at 69, but 70% of most taxes go to the school districts. And this will give you your assessed rate per thousand. So the school rates in Arlington of 27.15, that is the homestead rate. The non-homestead rate is $41.41. So, and then Dover is 22 for the school, and Millbrook is 17.53. So
Big
it's
difference.
$10 between Millbrook and Arlington. It's tough on the seniors. It really is.
Yeah,
But-
but Millbrook's been historically, they've been the lowest in the county.
Yeah, they have. They always
Why are
have
they
been.
so much lower?
Smaller. It's a much smaller school district than Arlington. Arlington is huge. I wish they'd take some
Yeah,
of
but you
them.
think a larger school district would have economy and scale,
I think-
less per,
It's a management attitude too. I mean, they don't write the rules, so I'm not blaming
Yeah.
them because
No,
their rules
but
are
I'm just
passed down,
curious.
but
I think Millbrook has two schools versus
Yeah.
a lot of the other districts. A lot more schools.
More bills.
yeah, I understand that, but you would think if you're a larger
Yeah, you would get.
economies
a
to scale
discount.
would apply.
Yeah.
And it's working the opposite.
But they have a lot
Think
of
about
less
private stuff.
extracurricular activities for the kids versus
Millbrook.
Arlington.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, so that's,
Arlington
that's
where-
has-
why the money. is
that's
spent.
where it is, okay.
Arlington is crazy, baby.
they're what expensive?
Their legacy. expenses.
Oh, really?
Like the pensions.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. It's just tough on folks. Again, they don't make the rules, but you just wish that, like they come out with a budget, they're gonna buy, 25 new buses. It's like,
Yeah,
All right, next up is our debt schedule. We've discussed this before, but it's important that everybody know that, we pay principal and interest. We pay interest twice a year. We pay principal once a year. So the big $50,000 goes out. But we're down below 500, which we were thrilled about. And now we'll be this year down to 415. And again, if we ever had a horrible emergency, this is a non-callable bond. There's no way this is gonna change.
Right.
But, you know, and we got a low interest rate, so it's a nice thing, but it's slowly ticking down. Which will be great when it's over. Now the next is the schedule of salaries of elected officials. Everything's the same except for our highway superintendent since it's turned down previous raises and we need to get that to a little bit of a market
Yeah.
rate anyway, right? A little bit better. And then the last page, and this is, oops. This thing is way up there. Why it goes. Okay, the last page is the summary of funds. You know, general fund is the A fund, highway fund is the D fund. And so this shows on the far right, you can see the proposed tax rate per thousand of assessed value. So this is similar to the first page, but some people, you know, if you're doing the budgets, like when I do them and other people, they think in terms of funds and what we're spending along those lines. So the general fund, the highway fund, we don't have a lot of special districts. We do have that one water district. We have the fire district, which they do their own. And so they've got their assessed rate, my calculator was $2.29, but this is probably a rounding difference. And the town's is 308. So in the interest of full disclosure, you have everything to plan. You know where we are.
Very good.
And I think that our, given that it's flat, we run a pretty tight ship. We don't have a lot of big deal things coming next year. We're hoping that we'll get that website done and we've got money in IT. Now, as far as differences. So the cyber insurance update was $1,914, less than we expected. So we took that and we did give the bookkeeper a raise because I hadn't put that in the previous one. And I know Councilman Welsh mentioned, asked me why, and I remember I said, oh, well, she's,
Yeah.
Thinking about, trying to get a little extra time off, but then we decided, that's gonna be so short, so fleeting. You're right. She deserved the same raise everybody else is getting. So her raise went in using that refund from the cyber insurance change. And then the Medicare and health insurance goes along with that automatically. The, health insurance for the new park staff, because we have people there, they all want insurance now. That premium went up from the time we did the tentative to this to $11,814. So that was quite a bit. But then when we went back and reviewed all the numbers, I looked at the sales tax and I had it down at 285. Our run rate for this year is 446. So I thought it would be safe if we just kept it this year's budget, which was 300, and then 15,000 brought it to,
Okay.
so it covered that. And then the new park staff, the difference went over into covering the staff. And there's the sales tax revenue mentioning under there. And then you see the only other change that happened on this budget was on the first page with the fire district budget, which will go out with the town's taxes, but it'll be itemized separately for the fire district.
Separate line.
Everybody knows, yeah. So it doesn't affect our tax cap, and it doesn't affect us at all, other than we'll have 24/7 ambulance service, which we'll be pleased with. Okay. So that's it. We've got a good year. I think this is the expectation is that there will be a lot of effort put into that library, and both raising money and getting the work done, because the work we want to start getting going with that project over there, because we do have a roof with holes in it.
Yeah, hopefully gonna get that
We don't
addressed.
want to be stupid and spend money in advance. We want to do it as a project, as everybody was advised by you guys guessed when we several years ago when we met with the architect. So anyway, that's probably going to be our biggest project this year. Okay, it's coming in.
Okay.
All right. Well, that is it for the town board, or for the. I'm looking at Andrea to see if she wants me to turn it off or not. Sorry. That's it for the budget review. If anybody has any questions, those changes we'll have to vote on tonight, and then this will become the preliminary, and then we'll review it again. Any changes rather on November 1st. So please join us then. Is that good? So should I can close this computer, right, Andrea?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's the big?
It was like we got a lot less than,
Got it down.
yes,
Do you remember the amount?
it's 800 something, I don't know.
It's 800 even. So
Versus
I got the-
924.
Yeah, here, John.
From 924, I think it
Yeah.
was 42.
That's right, thanks.
Should have gone to the public hearing.
Huh?
Did you go to the public hearing? Okay, so thank you very much.
At the hair cutting yesterday. And Paul is a very nice person, he did a great job, not on my head, on my friend's. And I looked at the library, the senior center. What is going on there? There's not much of anything. Is she just starting? She'll bring boxes of books down from upstairs or here, or what's gonna happen?
I think well, I haven't been over there in a week, but I think she's starting.
There's maybe 24 books artfully displayed here and there. There's some high tables and some very low chairs. I mean, low chairs.
Well, I know that the seniors are still using the room and the library is going to use the room because they have to have some space and show that they've got some space in order to submit the paperwork for chartering.
And when is this library going to be open? Will there be hours?
But it's open now and she's got, actually, there's at the front desk, as you leave tonight, why don't you get the little brochure and her card and it has the hours up on the wall. Actually, the hours are on this door. The hours are on that door
There's a
there.
sign on the door that says you can't go into the room, but of course we went in because we went for the haircut time.
So why don't we get the information about the hours from the clerk and let us move on with the meeting. And
I
then
wanna
we can
know-
add
I
as
don't know how she gets paid. The salary.
by check.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on, and if you have questions, you can come back and talk at the end of this
No,
meeting, because I'm not gonna hold everybody up for you.
We're not holding
All right.
everybody.
Next up, we're gonna have the town clerk report. Oh, no, actually, sorry, don't mean to skip you, gentlemen. We'll start with board members. Councilman Welsh, what do you have?
I've been going over the budget, following the details and try to keep
Yeah,
current on that, so.
yeah, no, it's a lot of work. All right, Councilman Derlin.
Same.
No, it's that time of year.
Yeah,
Councilman McGivney.
As you mentioned before, I spent a damp Sunday up at Down Creek. Unwrapping the new play set. Looks to be a very nice set, very well made. I think it'll last plenty of years. It's nice to see some of the younger children, their eyes light up when you open up the boxes and
Yeah.
see what the new play set's gonna have to play with.
Yeah, that was fun. And that, some of those kid pictures are on, where are they? On the town Facebook page. The kids sitting on the bee or that was a mother on the bee, actually, but the kids did love it. Thank you for being there. That was great. Councilman Gusikoff.
Not much support. I think basically this time of the year, maybe people should look out more for animals on the road.
yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
I had a bear
No, no, you-
yesterday, 1 PM. With 2 tags in one ear and 1 tag in the other. They look like Triscuits now. 'Cause I didn't get around to calling DEC.
I have seen
Does
that
this,
there.
does this mean that these bears were caught and tagged because
Yes,
they were
yeah.
tested?
Yes,
Yes.
Well, it was a darling bear that came right to the back door of the mudroom. And I locked the mudroom to not let it in. It was looking so much. Well, I put food out there for the wild.
Order. Shh.
Do we need,
Councilman Gusikoff has the floor.
do we need bear signs to warn people to?
Would somebody grab her chair and pull it right
No, I'm
back?
staying right here.
Just drag her right on.
Betsy, I can barely.
It's
hear you.
honor and
I don't think bear signs would help, but I'm just saying as far as driving. Driving in each.
Yeah.
That's the same bear that was in my.
Did you
I
see
have
the
seen-
fox?
and Fox.
People will-
Yeah.
That's good,
But I
yeah.
have seen that bear near our house with,
No.
with the 3 tags in the ear. So
No, no,
yes, it was,
it's one in one ear. and two.
yeah, well, 3 in
Three
total.
total, okay, let's. do
So
that.
it is a nuisance bear and it's been tagged before and probably relocated and then come back to whatever.
They brought him
area.
here.
Well, I
yeah.
thought it was nice. But.
Well,
Right.
obviously not.
Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate that. Next up, our highway superintendent report.
I don't know how to follow that.
Talk about cows.
Okay, so the guys are, we're trying to finish shouldering the roads that were paved this summer. We're working on that. We're also working on plow trucks, getting them ready for inevitable. We do have one truck, it's our newest truck, it's just a problematic truck. Had to put a starter in it, and after it came back from getting a starter put in it, none of the joystick functions worked in it. So we had to take it back up to Lebanon to the guy that built the truck, and he's trying to figure out what to do with the truck.
Wow.
And if it's the control module in the truck, we just replaced that 3 years ago, and it's an expensive fix, so we're waiting to find out what it's gonna do.
Better now than in January.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Whatever reason, that truck is just problematic.
Wow.
So we have another one that we're putting a new transmission in. I actually was able to trade some of our scrap steel for a transmission.
Right.
oh,
So
very
we
good.
have a great shop getting the transmission.
That's great.
So,
And you're getting.
Trying to be thrifty, but it's.
I know, it's
Salt
hard.
trucks are problematic.
I did want to say thank you to Christian. He did an outstanding job on those GPS coordinates for the FEMA reporting. So please tell him that was really impressive. And also thank you because you helped the equestrian center out when they were in that show. Remember you had, yeah, you took that gravel up there and helped that road was just like
Oh, yeah.
parting.
Passed away.
Yeah, so thank you for doing that. That is really a nice thing. So,
And Supervisor and I are working with FEMA
yeah,
and the town's engineers, and we're trying to get the West Coast Bridge
Good.
figured out.
so the interesting thing on, for you all to know, on the last call we had with them, they are fast tracking the stuff.
Oh,
There is a chance that we could hear back from them within 2 months. Not like last year, remember with Ida, you and I were with them for 9 or 10 months.
Mhm.
So this could be pretty good news because, you're wondering what we're gonna do. Do we do any temporary fix or do we leave it
Waiting for
covered?
the engineer to give us his plan for the temporary fix.
Okay. All right, so
I'll
we'll start
pitch him
sending,
again.
yeah, okay, great. That's moving along.
Yeah,
The problem is water over the bridge.
That's great. Well, thank you very much. All right, next up, our town clerk report.
Thank you. We are just getting ready to be selling our 2024 recycling pass next month. Other than that, business as usual.
You know what else though? I was remembering that we should remind everybody is there's a winter coat drive going on.
Oh, that's right.
Councilman
Yeah.
VPen, you want to explain how that works and when they're picking it up? Because people.
I don't remember all the details off the top of my head, but yeah, Assemblyman VPON is hosting a winter coat drive and you're welcome to drop off the coats at town hall. There's a bin and then at some point we'll put up the flyer on the website so that everyone can have all the, but we are definitely a drop off site.
oh, good.
That's great. Okay. Next up, any public comments on agenda items?
I took a nap.
She'll talk anyway. So public comments will be forthcoming. Okay, next up, board committee commission accounts reports. I had told the Unionville Library folks and the CAC that we were gonna be focusing on the budget tonight, so they're not here.
You thought of something. There you go.
The timer, number 11 is going to be rented?
No, but what, we have a woman, we're getting some help there. Actually, thanks for reminding me. Is that on my budget?
It's on the agenda.
Oh, that,
Old
we'll get
business.
to that in a minute. We're gonna,
Working
let's
our
follow
way
the
down.
agenda. Yeah, we'll get there.
You want to wait for that?
All right, so next up is the departmental report, and would one of you gentlemen please start with the parks report?
I got it.
Go ahead, thank you, Councilman.
Can we go back?
No, Elfrida, stop.
We got a little
Elfrida,
ahead.
no, we have an agenda here. Let us follow the agenda. We'll come back to you. Go ahead, Councilman, thank you.
All right. Irish Festival went well. The maintenance crew did a good job making the park look great, even though with a large amount of rain, complicated things. The original plan for parking would not work, but with the help of town hall, the constables and the highway department, we were able to temporarily close a portion of Duncan Road to use for parking instead, so the event could still happen. The soccer club Pathfinder that was renting house at number 2 Time Warner Park Road moved out, and there was a lot of work to prepare for the new renter. Thankfully, Pathfinder was able to assist in the painting and cleaning of the property. We are awaiting estimates to replace the failing boiler and repair of broken cast iron piping. The playground build at Godfrey Park has been heavily impacted by weather, but the project is progressing, albeit slowly. Thank you to everyone that has assisted in the project so far. Both of the horse shows this month have gone well considering the weather complications. The maintenance crew made the equestrian center look great. The gravel road into the equestrian center kept washing out from the rain. It was becoming difficult to repair. Thankfully, Ed Kading brought a load of stone in and spread it to fix before the last show.
That's great.
Very good.
Thank you very much. Next up now, by the way, this report is by Vinnie Germano. Vinnie is going to be taking over a lot of Jake's responsibilities. Next up, our recreation department, Maggie Collins with Councilman Gus Coffey. You want to read that? What you have?
On Friday the 13th, the Recreation Department hosted the annual Halloween movie night outside the bandstand. Family and friends got to watch a spooky movie after the sunset, enjoy food and drinks from Finelli's food truck. We hope everyone enjoyed this unofficial kickoff to the Halloween season and come back again next year. This Friday, we will be running our TGTT Halloween party for the Arlington Central School District's half day. Students K through 5th would enjoy Halloween themed games, painting pumpkins, show off their costumes, and enjoy the great outdoors at Time Warner Park. Parents and guardians can find more information on our TGTT programs on the Unionville and Parks and Rec website. This Friday, we'll be hosting our fall themed adult paint and slip. Family and friends can enjoy an evening of fun and get creative by following an instructor step by step to create their own masterpiece. More information can be found on Unionville Parks and Rec website.
Excellent. Thank you. And paint's such popular, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're going? It's sold out every time.
Mhm.
It's a fun thing. All right. Thank you, Councilman. How about the constable report by George Treadwell?
Want to read that?
If you're ready, yeah.
Yes. Constables patrolled approximately 552 miles of town roads, including all properties filling the Explorer with 20.1 gallons of gasoline. The 3 town court dates total 48 cases on the dockets, with 19 actual appearances and 11 cases responded by mail or phone. There were no issues to report. Constables reported the following during patrols. On 9/5, they served 2 town code violations for the building department. On 9/7, the mailbox at number 10 Time Warner Park Road detached from post. Additional notes. 9/1 through 9/3 provided security for Hudson Valley Balloon Festival. No issues to report during despite the large crowds. 9/14 replaced front brakes and rotors on Explorer. 9/17 provided security at annual Oktoberfest. No issues to report. 9/30 provided security at Dutchess County Irish Festival. Sections of Duncan Road needed to be shut down for parking due to wet fields. There were no issues to report. Respectfully submitted, George Trevor.
Yeah, they've been busy. All right, next up, animal control. You want to read that, Councilman? Thank you.
Animal control report for the month of September 2023. During the month of September, there was 1 found dog reunited with her owner. We also received word from New York State Ag and Markets that we successfully passed our state inspection for the year. Respectfully submitted, Mary Jean Calvi.
No, she got. Mary Jean Calvi got high marks from the state, so we're in
Oh,
good shape.
not surprising. Very
Not
good.
surprising at all. All right, thank you for those reports. Those really cover old business. I think we talked about Godfrey Park Playground.
Yeah.
I hope it's maybe one more week, maybe, I hope that we can get this pulled together pretty soon. Number 2 is a number 11 and number 2 Time Warner Park rental. So number 2 is secured. The woman is in, she's happy. Number 11, we have somebody else looking. One of the thoughts there was to try, since we're trying to avoid children and families for the reasons from 2016 that everybody remembers. So the commercial market, if we can find commercial people that run businesses that aren't needing Main Street traffic. And so we do have a woman who is very good at this, and she's got, there's an attorney and there may be like a therapist. There's a group of people that would use different sections of the house and then they share the square footage. As long as the dollar amount equals what we were expecting to get for the house, we're fine. So she's working on it, but I think it's kind of a good idea. If we can keep businesses, boy, a 9 to 5 thing down there, the parks guys would be thrilled with. So anyway, we'll keep working on it, but I think it's the best way to go if we want to keep it safe. Next up is the AEDs. So we ordered the AEDs, as you all remember, we voted on. They got everything to us, but the pediatric pad packs were missing. Back ordered. We've just been notified. Yeah, they're hard to get. We're notified that they are going to be here any day because they arrived to the nurse that set this all up for us. And then we've got a training scheduled. I got to send it. I think the email will go out tomorrow. We have a training for everybody and that would include the guys that if they can come, I think it's important that we have a lady who's going to good in November. I'll send you the date.
They've been using the welder.
Boy, let's get them in. What are they going to do with the pediatric packs? All right, so that training is coming up, which is great. The new business updates and discussions. We have to finish up a library lease so that they can put, that has to be in their package for the, that has to be in their package for the chartering to go to New York State. And I think where we are with that is that Jeff Battistoni's been working hard and he's got a couple more questions. I know we're almost there and then we'll send it out to you all as soon as we have it. And then we may even be able to vote on that at the work session. We talked about it at our work session, so we already know what's going to be in there. In general, but Jeff had discovered a couple of other things that he wants to research and then we should be in good shape. And then they'll have a document they can put in with their package and send it up to Albany and then see how long it takes. So with these changes as outlined earlier, we can now vote on the tentative budget and approve it as the preliminary. Would somebody please make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of moving from tentative to preliminary, say aye. Any opposed? Nope, motion carries. All right, we do have a resolution. Does everybody have that in their package?
Yes.
Okay,
Justice
this
Court.
we just got today, but the court, they want to try to get some reimbursements and they're under a deadline, so, yeah. So Councilman, would you like to read that, please?
Sure. Town of Unionville, resolution number 32-2023, applying for funding from Justice Court Assistance Program. Whereas the town board of the town of Unionville would like to apply for funding from Justice Court Administration for office equipment and computer hardware for the court. Whereas the town has received an estimated pricing for a safe and laptop computer with software in the amount of $1,531.81. Now be it resolved that the board of the town of Unionville authorize the town of Unionville Town Court to apply for a JCAP grant in the 23-24 grant cycle up to $1,531.81.
Thank you for offering that resolution. Is there a second?
I'll second the rest.
All right,
Okay.
any discussion? You guys understand how JCAP works and all that? Okay,
Mhm.
may I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilman Derwin,
Aye.
Councilman McGivney,
Aye.
Councilman Bezikoff,
Aye.
Councilman Welch.
Aye.
Supervisor.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, we get-
That motion carries and then it's up and Paul Banco. Yeah, he came down, he got his form signed, so they're gonna submit it right away.
Good.
All right, next up, we have budget adjustment, they're not really budget, they're bank transfers, in this section of the, so I've got a list. Everybody have these?
Yeah.
Okay. So it probably next month we'll do any other budget adjustments we have to do. But right now, the bank transfers, we're going from New York class to the capital reserve fund for highway. From New York class, which is our investment account, to the projects account. To pay the bills, we had a $40,000 bill for Godfrey. That was just our down payment. The pool tank, and then the highway equipment garage, that was just a leftover expense of $693. And then transfer from escrow checking to general checking. That's an ongoing thing. Every few months, we take a look and get everybody paid up, and including the town. Anybody have any questions about those?
No,
Okay, may I have a motion that we accept the bank transfers as outlined on in this October meeting?
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor of making these particular bank transfers as listed?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. Any public comments on town issues?
Okay, go back to 11.2. Which house might be divided up into offices, 2 or?
It's not gonna change the alteration of the house. They're just gonna move in offices, the bigger one, 11.
The big house, okay.
Yeah. It's too big for some people that have looked at it, and so we're trying to help them with the rent.
All right, you're gonna tell us what the probable rent will be for each of these houses?
Well, we've got a higher rent on number 2, we're at 2,500. And we're at 30, the real estate agent kept saying, oh, you can get 42, but it seems rather high for number 11. So we're in the market for around 3,800 is what we'd like. So,
38 for the big house.
yeah.
Yeah,
So if some businesses come in, they can share that expense, and I think that might be
That's a good
doable
idea.
for some of them, yeah.
If you want. How many of these AED packs? I can't remember how
I think
many.
about 4. Yeah, about 4.
School, highway, town hall, and recreation.
And recreation.
And what about the one down at the recycling center?
They're still trying to research it. They haven't found anything yet that they think is good, and it's changing this, yeah. This is the public comment section. Is there anything you'd like to comment about too?
You don't even want to hear me.
you're right.
You want to talk about whole body burials? We can jump on that.
All right, does anybody else have any comments?
Wait a minute. Keep your hand down, I'm talking. Sonny, behave yourself.
Frida, this is the last time you're moving your chair up. I just want you to know, this is a record for us. Look what time it is. It's 8:30.
But
Not done
you-
yet.
Holding us up.
the man had to turn the pages here. There's too many.
What
pages.
do you have any other comments?
I'll make it a comment. We have these brown signs around town, all over the county. Does anybody have a book that goes with those signs? We thought Jane Geisler might have one. I'm talking on behalf.
Historical signs?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm talking on behalf of Cassie. We're looking for.
I think it's on the website. They have maps that identify
No,
those signs.
These are old signs that are. For people to follow.
Oh, this isn't like a trail marker.
It's with
No,
the
the
outline.
brown ones, the old brown ones.
Maybe check with the historian, our historian.
Yeah, I can ask Fran when I talk to him.
Fran Wallen might know. We don't.
We even, I don't know. If you have old books, John, maybe, do your parents still have books in
The county historian might
You
know.
don't have any old books in your house, right?
County historian might know.
Yeah, that would be the best resource.
I mean, there's, and I tell you, the historian in
We've tried some of these
the historian in East Fishkill is quite knowledgeable.
Fishkill, okay.
East County, East Fishkill.
We think, never mind.
But try East Fishkill. The gentleman is extremely knowledgeable.
You making money on anything else?
No,
Blue, come on, John, tell the truth. Balloon Fest, do they pay the town some amount of money, a percentage?
$12,000.
It is, okay.
and they also gave a generous donation to the park.
They gave that, they gave donation.
Yeah.
You've been making a lot of money on the side, you guys.
Yeah,
And ladies.
yeah.
Yeah. A little few more dead people and you'll be in good shape.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the bills.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of paying the bills, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
I got something under public comment, elections coming up. As you know, November 7th, I know in years past, we have a 10-day prior to election to put signs out. In
Right.
the past, we have extended that to 10 days before early election, because early voting starts on the 28th. And that's 10 days prior to the general election. So
No, we only did that once when the early voting was held in Unionville. But and we voted on this last time, because Sue Kilcrease, I remember, brought this up. When the voting is, the early voting is outside of town. People, they don't like having the signs out on the roads that earlier. I guess maybe the State Department doesn't, the state DOT doesn't. But so it's only when Unionville is involved with early voting, and it's not being held here.
My opinion is, you know, it's good to get signs out there, let people know who's running prior to early voting. Instead of the day of early voting, that's when the signs go out. That's without.
Well, not on private property, it's only on the right of way. So,
They're all over the place. Unionville is pristine, except for the big signs that are up. So can we get unpristine and be like everybody else?
I would say that. It's a little
We gotta
late to have
talk
that
about
discussion, that would be that's a town code change.
So maybe we can change that code.
Maybe,
We heard it here first.
my
Well,
guess is that most people in Unionville are very proud of that, on the right of ways, they're not driving, all along the roads and things are empty, a lot of people say that they love our look the best, but.
I think maybe we should do a vote on that. A poll, a real poll with the name
Okay, you
and so on.
take care of that, let us know what happens, because we'd all be curious.
If I'm not dead.
Okay,
Okay, duly noted. All right, may I have a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Any seconds?
Second.
All right, all in favor? We are
Aye.
adjourning. Thank you very much. Have a good night, everybody.
Highway.
1 more 6 minutes.
I know, that's it.
We should.
She had her chance. You know what, it would be bad at a work session because